E360 TV proudly presents Messages of Inspirational Stories TV show. Live streaming now to millions of devices around the world on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook live streaming. Our shows are available video on demand on these channels. And we broadcast daily, Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on these channels. On Mondays, Expanding Your Business. Tuesdays, Finding Health Naturally. Wednesdays, Mentoring Our Youth. Thursdays, Pets We Love. And on Fridays, Women in Leadership. Brought to you by our producers and hosts, Jim Grant and donnaguinouard. Along with our host, Beata Severin Reed and Emerson Brantley. Supported by our admin team of Michaela Vidal and Gaia Guinoir Balconi Leda. And welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see today, we got the pirate in the house. Hello, Emerson. How you doing today, buddy? We're so glad that you tuned in today. We're so glad you're watching the show. We're going to be talking about mentoring.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Oh, yes, sir. I know you are. We're glad you're here.
You don't know how glad I am to be here, Jim.
Oh, I think I do.
Yeah, probably of all the people, you probably do know how glad I am to be here.
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, our show is brought to you by the 6-Minute Webinar and the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. And I'm going to be displaying their marquee there. We're also brought to you by the 7 Levels of Truth by Mr. Bill Heinrich. I will be displaying his marquee there. And Mr. Bill's got a wonderful book. He talks about how you can find joy and happiness and peace and love in your life. And I mean, we all need an abundance of that. But Emerson, today we're going to be talking about mentoring our youth. My goodness gracious, that is so important.
The youths, Your Honor.
Yeah, I hear you. By the way, before we get started, I'd like for you to share with the audience out there, if you would, sir, how the pirate hat came into play. That's his trademark, his signature trademark.
Yes, indeed. Well, you see there, Jimmy, every year I've been on a ship called the Marketer's Cruise, where they have 300 to 500 marketers from all over the world. Mm-hmm. And it's run by a man named Captain Lou. Well, the very first year that I went, because every year they have a special party. The first year that we went, my wife and I, we went as pirates because we had been cruise captains with a cruising club.
Is that right?
Here where I live. And we actually won, I think, 3rd or 4th place. But the next day, everybody was seeing me in the hall going, you were the pirate. Arr, ahoy there, matey, and things like that. And I thought, okay, this is fun. So I wore it the rest of the cruise. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't until a year later, Jim, standing in the lobby of the Eden Rock Hotel in Miami, which was the cruise hotel that year. Mm-hmm. And I had 3 people come up while I was in the lobby, while I was registering, and saying, "Hey, it's a pirate! Ahoy there! Arg!" And I didn't even have my hat on. Where's your hat?
Really? Yeah. Wow.
And that's when it clicked for this marketing genius, something that I had not considered was what I call accidental branding. Mm-hmm. And those of you who have been around for a wee bit might remember when they first came out with iPods, they ran ads. People began seeing them on TV shows with the white wires coming out of the ears. And within 5 or 6 months, they ran ads all over the country on buses and billboards and online. And all they had were these silhouettes of people with 2 white wires coming out. And some of them didn't even say Apple or iPod or anything. That was accidental branding. And
Wow.
that's what this is. Now,
Mm.
the hat has taken on all sorts of new purposes and reasons.
Mhm.
In a group of several hundred people, they give you 30 seconds on one of the days just to introduce yourself, why
Mhm.
you're there, the kind of business that you do, and the kind of clients you're looking for, and the
Mhm.
page that you're on in the directory.
Mhm.
So with my 30 seconds, I get to stand out in that lineup and say, you can find me on page 35 or whatever it is, or just look for me hat. And I had people come up to me for the entire week saying, I saw you across the room. I saw your hat.
Mhm. Yeah.
Everyone says I should talk to the pirate.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I
so it's
tell you.
become that accidental branding. And so often, I'll just take this a step further here. So often, we don't realize how those little things, as W. Clement Stone said in one of his books, little hinges swing the big
Open big
doors.
doors. Yes, he
Right?
sure did. Yeah.
Little hinges swing big doors. And over the years, as I've spoken all over the country,
Mhm.
in 34 countries for that matter, but all over the country, I'll have people who come up to me if I don't have on the hat, totally different events.
Mhm.
Where's the
And
hat?
where's your
Or I've started wearing the hat, and when you go online and look up
Mm.
videos I've done, you'll see some of them with me with the hat.
Oh, yeah.
But I literally, I have a 7-foot banner that any time that I've spoken,
Mhm.
they always have that, usually outside the room or in the room, and I literally have stood 10 feet away from that banner talking to people face to face, and the banner does not have my hat on
Mhm.
it, okay,
Mhm.
and then looking around my shoulder and "Oh, that's you, that's you. Where's the hat?" So it's become accidental branding where if I
Mhm.
don't wear it, people are asking where it's at. And even if I don't wear it, they'll be coming up and going, ahoy there, matey, and arg, and all of that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
all it is just a little connection to help people remember.
Mhm.
And I used to describe it this way, but nobody has lights with a string on them anymore. But it's like just this little string that you hang it on
Mhm.
that people will always remember it.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's what
Mhm.
the hat is. You can
And you're
always find me
also
by my hat.
and Emerson, you're also a board member of the U.S. Green Chamber of
I
Commerce.
am.
And you've done quite a few things in your life. We're so honored to have you as a host here with us and to work with us. And we're going to be talking about mentoring our youth. My goodness gracious, that is huge, isn't it?
It
Because,
is. And in fact, if the younger people that are watching this will go to the U.S. Green Chamber site
oh,
and
let me
read
put
my
that back up.
bio, you'll
Mhm.
read that all of my involvement in 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 green commerce, in the green movement, and everything else
Mhm.
began when I was just a teenager at
Really?
the Environmental Coordinating Office here where I live. And on the very first Earth Day, I was involved in a tree planting, the very first Earth Day.
Hmm.
And but you can find that little under the if you knew me well kind of thing, that
Yeah.
little niche of the story
Oh,
there on
yeah.
the site. I don't even have that story on my own website,
Mhm. Yeah.
web3direct.com, but on the
Absolutely.
usgreenchamber.com,
Mhm.
you have that little piece of the story.
Oh, yeah. That's really amazing because I've known you for quite some time. And I really, ladies and gentlemen, I really didn't know all of the things that Emerson has done because he's very, very modest. And he's the kind of person that, how long have I known you before? It was just here within the last 6 months or so that I found out that you are a board member of the U.S. Green Chamber of Commerce. I mean, how long have you been on there? And I've known you for 6, 7
Five,
years or
6 years, maybe 7 years.
Yeah.
I started as an associate member, or uh, and about a year later, they asked me if I'd be a full board member on the
Hmm.
governing board of it.
That was quite an honor to be asked, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a good purpose. You know, a lot of people get crazy about, we hear all sorts of people slinging terms around, tree huggers and things like that. But you know what, Jim? To have a business that's not sustainable, that doesn't make any sense. And if you want to be sustainable, then you want to be sustainable on every level, right? And part of those levels are, how are you a good citizen? Are you taking care of the community and the world that you live in? Or are you, throwing stuff away, disposing of stuff, not treating the people that work in the community with, it's like people, planet, profits. That is what it's about. It's not about tree hugging. It's about doing what's best for the people that work for you. And that's in your company and out of your company, by the way. Doing your best for the people, doing your best for the planet, so that the children and grandchildren of everybody working with you will have a better future. And looking after the profits of your company in a way that is sustainable, so that you're able to continue that on and on and on. Sure.
I understand. And that's also a good foundation. Find something that you're passionate about and share that with young people, because young people really do want to get involved in your life. Because I think each and every one of us can look back in the rearview mirror of our pathway of life, and we could think about special individuals in our life who added a contribution to our lives to make us a better person. And mentors are some of the best mentors I've ever had have been non-relatives, to be honest with you. I've had some good, my dad and mom were excellent, of course, but whenever a child has a tendency to really, or a young person wants to really open up to someone else outside the house and really connect with that person. And when it comes to teenagers, my goodness gracious, helping young people interpret and managing the challenges they will face in life, including their relationship with their peers as well as their parents. Because a lot of times the mentor can reach out and touch a young person's life where the parent or any other family member cannot.
It's all in how safe do you feel? How safe do you feel in talking with somebody? And safety, that can be a trigger word for some people, but the thing is, maybe your parents are safe, but you may not want to talk directly with them about some things. And as parents, and I have 3 daughters, I have 4 granddaughters and a grandson. I mean, I recognize there are times and places where that conversation feels, and feeling is everything, right, Jim? It sure is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much you know. No, it matters how much you care. And it doesn't matter how much you think it's right. It's how much you feel it's right. When a nuclear scientist sees the red light flashing on the wall, that nuclear scientist at the nuclear plant isn't going to push that button that they've got to push unless they feel it's the right thing to do. And
there
you're
you
not
go.
going to ever buy anything unless you feel it's the right thing to do. And your children are not going to ever have a conversation with you unless they feel that sense of safety for themselves. And it's not about you. It is not about you. It's about them. Right. So mentors give them an opportunity to have another voice, another person in their life. That they can have those conversations with. It may be a teacher. It may be with brothers and sisters, organizations. It may be a church leader or a counselor. But somebody that they can experiment those conversations with in a non-judgmental way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so
And
often, Jim, as parents, we feel like we have to tell them the answers.
Yeah. Isn't that the
right?
truth? Mm-hmm.
And tell them you need to, you should, and things like that. And a good mentor gives them the chance to pull that out of themselves.
Yeah.
And for them to see it revealed for themselves in their life.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I mean, that's...
Oh, yeah, it really does. And we've got a little video. Would you like me to play the video?
Oh, yeah, show that. It's a great video. Great video.
This is fantastic. You're going to see a teacher that doesn't look at the problem, but looks at the solution. And we just had to download this, and be sure and visit the man's site there. We'll be back in about 3 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. But this is a valuable, valuable, valuable video.
And
I have a lot of memories from when I was a child. One that's always stuck out to me, though, was when I was about 10 years old, and I was in school, and I struggled. And I didn't struggle with English, math, or science. I struggled holding still. And I would try to listen and focus and process ideas, but I couldn't help myself. And to be honest, I would sit there and then I would just start tapping. And the students in the class would look at me and they'd say, "Hey, stop tapping." A lot of the time, I didn't even realize I was doing it. And then eventually even the teachers got after me and they would yell at me and they'd say, "Clint, you have to stop tapping." It got so bad that I got sent to the principal's office for tapping. And he said to me, "Okay, maybe when you go back to class, just try sitting on your hands." And so I did. I went back to class, and when I felt myself starting to tap, I did this. I sat on my hands. And that worked for about 5 seconds. One time I was tapping in class, and my teacher, Mr. Jensen, he looked at me and he yelled. And he said, "Clint, stay after class." And I thought to myself, this is it. I am done. Now, I've always been the type of person that believes that a single moment in time can change a person's life. And this was one of those moments for me. And I will never forget it. And so I was sitting there with Mr. Jensen and an empty classroom. And he walked past me and he sat next to his desk and he said, "Clint, come here. I want to talk to you." And as he looked me right in the eye, he said, "Now, I need you to know something. You're not in trouble. But I do have just one question that I have to ask you." And he asked, he said, "Have you ever thought about playing the drums?" And in that moment, Mr. Jensen, he leaned back and he opened the top drawer of his desk. And he reached in and he pulled out my very first pair of drumsticks. And he held them in his hands and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, Clint, you're not a problem. I think you're a drummer." That moment on, I've never put those sticks down. I've toured, recorded, and played drums all over the world. My whole college education was paid for with drumsticks in my hand. Just because of a single moment in time when somebody believed in me. And he saw something in me that I didn't even see within myself. And from that moment, I learned that there's a difference between being the best in the world and being the best for the world.
Wow.
That's an amazing, amazing video. We just had to share that with you folks. It's very, very powerful. What I love about that was that teacher wanted him to stay after school, and the kid thought, okay, I'm in trouble again, but he wanted a personal, private time with him. Yeah. And he saw something in him. And that's a wonderful, wonderful video. Please visit Clint's website there. And, my goodness gracious, we're just so honored to be able to share that with you folks out there in TV land. Emerson, what are some of the things that just kind of like impressed you about that video? Or what'd you get from it?
Here was somebody. He was a teacher, but he was somebody, and he didn't look at something as a problem. He looked at it as an open door into this young guy's life. I had a similar experience, Jim, and you and I have talked about. I was a children's pastor for almost 5 years, so I had hundreds and hundreds of kids who came through my children's church. But my own middle daughter, she was a challenge. She was always pushing the envelope. Any of you who are parents, you know what I mean. She was pushing the envelope. And so we lived on the intercoastal waterway, and they weren't supposed to have any kids there, especially boys, when we weren't there. And there was a time period. There was about a 30 or 45-minute time period in the afternoon where they would get home before we did. And a lot of parents have those issues, of timing. And I got home and there were 2 boys out there on the dock, and they were playing around with fish and throwing rocks in the water like little boys do. And I was just livid, Jim. I was livid. And it was just days before her 10th birthday.
Oh, wow.
And you know what I did? We canceled her 10th birthday.
Wow.
We canceled it. But that's the dark part of it. As a result of that and other experiences at that time, my eyes were kind of open to, what? Some of these things that are so challenging to me as a parent. Now, I'm speaking to the parents there. Some of those things are actually, just like in this video, they're actually gifts that they have that's going to help them set themselves apart. And I've told her many times over the years, and I've told her in front of her 2 sisters, you taught me how to be a dad.
Wow.
You taught me how to be a dad, how to guide and not crush.
That's so critical.
It is so critical. And for mentors to be able to not give them the answers that you, in your head, that you've learned, do this, don't do that. And here's what, you need to do. I did this and I did that and I did the other. But to learn how to get them to discover it themselves with your guidance. That's the magic of having a mentor. Everyone needs to have mentors who believe in you, who trust you, who don't just give you all the answers and tell you what to do, but who help you discover them yourself.
Oh yeah, that was very evident in that little video we just saw.
That was so evident.
Yeah. It's just amazing because when it comes to, I came across something else I wanted to share. Kids want to belong to something.
Oh yeah,
they really truly do. And I came across something very interesting, and this can be a one-on-one. It can be a private club. And they gave a, big long list of, this person became inspired, and they created something like 615 creative memberships. But,
the names, different names. Names to name it. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
I mean, there's just a ton of names. A lot of these are generic, but I mean, you take like, they call it, success mentoring or booster mentoring or something. But I really think that a person could make it like a private club for that one or two, young people to belong to, and maybe go the extra mile and, get some logos printed up on t-shirts or something. I mean, just something to show them that there's somebody that's there that cares and they belong. Because that's the main thing with teenagers. They need to know that they're important. They need to know that someone cares about them. And they need to know that they are worthy enough to belong. That's just so critical. And I just love that when I think I sent you that list on all them different names, didn't I?
We ought to read a few of them. You can be a mentor without having a clever name, just by being someone who listens.
Yeah.
And someone who encourages, and someone who asks questions. How does that feel? What do you think the best way would be? Have you tried that?
Yeah.
How did that work for you? And giving them the chance, and listening, giving them the chance to process and share their ideas. And oh, Jim, this is so important. And not being judgmental about them.
Huge.
As you know, there's this. As you know, you've met. There's a 17-year-old that I've been doing some work with him and his family. He's a very brilliant young guy. And the thing is, I can tell him what to do. I can, give them, all the wealth of knowledge that I have, all this wisdom, right? Or I can be patient enough to help him and his folks figure out what's the path that makes sense to me? What's the path that I want to take? What's what can I do? And their decisions having value mean a lot.
Yes.
It means a lot.
I've got a slide I can put up there if you like. It's the round one. It's got different points there.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
Okay, let me slap it up here right quick, ladies and gentlemen. Emerson and I will talk about it a little bit. There we go. Mentorship.
There you go.
And when you're talking about mentorship, you're talking about coaching. And coaching is one of the legs there in mentorship. But coaching
isn't telling. Coaching isn't telling.
Right. It's not like being a football coach.
Yeah, it's not telling.
Coaching
is discovery.
Yes. Positive reinforcement, right?
Yep. That's the how does that work in your life and things like that,
Yeah. Exactly.
Asking questions. Or as some of the viewers who've been with us for a while, Jim, know, like when I first met my wife, and those of you who don't know, we had never been on an actual date when I asked her to marry me, and that was this year will be 25 years ago. But the very first time I met her, she looked me up and down. I was invited to help decorate her boat for the light parade, which we have every year. And she looked at me and she said, "So, are you useful or just decorative?" Learning to just ask questions opens the doors. And when we ask questions and we listen to the answers, now we gain the respect of the person that is going to be being mentored, or needs to be mentored, or would like to be mentored, or that we might be considering mentoring. It's not teaching directly. Right. It's not telling. It's not necessarily parenting, although it can be, but it's discovery. It really is.
And that second one to the right, we get a little feedback there. Let me check. Let me check your mic here. It just started. So anyway, go ahead and start talking about support while I check the mics here.
Well, supporting them. Sometimes the person that you're mentoring is trying to work through different issues, and I'll just put it this way, they're going to stumble.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, supporting isn't, in my mind, in my humble but accurate opinion, supporting isn't just about supporting when people succeed.
Mm-hmm.
It's about supporting them when they have made an effort, even if the effort doesn't achieve the result that they were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of leads us to the next one.
Okay.
And that's the goal.
Mm-hmm.
And getting clarity on the goal. Jim, you might remember in the class that you took with me,
Mm-hmm.
on marketing and copywriting and public relations and all that, I started out by saying you start with the why.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're in business, I hate to tell you this, but your why is a whole lot less important. It matters that you get up in the morning and know what your why is, but 95% of the why that really matters in marketing and a business
Mm-hmm.
is understanding the why of the people that you want to have as your ideal clients and customers. So when we are talking about goal, what we're really talking about is what's the driver? What is it that really energizes? What is it that gets them going? What is it that gets them excited? And that's even bigger than I want to make $1 million or whatever.
Oh yeah.
That goal is the thing that keeps them moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So the training part of it, that next step down there,
Mm-hmm.
well, the training has to fall in line with those other 3 things.
Mm-hmm. It's
not just, and I've been in and involved in, this, Jim, but I've been in and around the seminar and training and courses and selling from the stage and all of that industry for many, many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
And so often I see people who come up with this wonderful program of training and then go out and try to find people that want to buy it.
Oh yeah.
Mentorship is the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Mentorship is that coaching and support all is built around the why, so that their goals and the why becomes part of the training, and the training kind of flips right back around to what do you think would be the best way to do it? How do you see this happening? What would be the outcomes that you would think this would cause? What are some examples that you've used? How are some things that you've done that kind of guide you to that decision?
Hey, you're exactly right. And it's amazing how when you listen to Emerson explain these things, this into perfect step with being an adult. Because whenever we've talked about people being on stage and it's all about selling.
Oh yeah.
And the main thing of it is that do they really care? Do they really care that they're being a blessing to that one person as opposed to trying to sell half the room or something?
Right.
And that's where your focal point's got to be. It's got to be the same focal point with the young person. Some will come along quicker than others. But one of the things that I really like about mentorship is finding that common ground that young people like. It may be, doing some games. It may be, playing some type of a sport. something that really interests them. And I remember one time when I was an instructor in the military, I had a sergeant in there, and he was taking a course, and he was 4 or 5 tiers above in his education of what I was covering. And I could tell he was getting kind of bored naturally. Be like similar to teaching, having a certified mechanic come into your class and you're teaching them how to pull out the dipstick, wipe it off, and put it back in and check the oil level. That's a pretty good analogy. And so I told him, I said, first break, I said, listen, you've got a lot of experience. And I don't want you to sit there and just, me bore you to death. I would like to appoint you as an assistant instructor, and you will walk around behind the students in the class. We had about 35 students in there. And I says, make sure no one is hung up on something. And he just lit up like a light bulb because I gave him a reason to be appreciated for who he was. That's a principle in life, and that's applicable to even a young person. It really is. They got to know that what they bring to the party is truly respected, truly safe, and it's a very safe environment, and actually you respect them. And I just wanted to share that. I don't know if that's as good an analogy as what you always add there, Emerson, because you're that pirate hat. I think it makes you smarter than me.
People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
That's the bottom line.
That is.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
And what do we get to here on our circle?
Well, I think we're down to motivation.
Yes, sir. We need some motivation here.
Well, a lot of the things that we're talking about, Jim, are things that do motivate. Encouragement is something that motivates. Mm-hmm. If the other things aren't in place, then motivation just becomes some list of
some exercise
sayings and truisms, and if it is to be, it's up to me kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think the motivation really is built on the groundwork of coaching and support that we've given to them, mm-hmm. of helping them to find a goal that is something that matters, mm-hmm. and giving them the training, mm-hmm. that we're able to give them. And again, all of these things, we don't have this word on this graphic, but folks, in terms of mentorship, in my experience, and in my humble but accurate opinion, it's really about the discovery part of it. It's not about, mm-hmm. you being the expert at everything that they're dealing with in their life. Mm-hmm. And Jim, we before the show, we were talking about, I relate a lot of this to mastermind.
Oh,
the
yeah.
concept of mastermind that Napoleon
mm-hmm.
Hill put forth. And I've been involved in 10 or 12 masterminds. I've run some masterminds. We had over 250 speakers in a mastermind during the height of COVID. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people. We also had somebody who had a big following of people, and he had gone in and done training and setting up office systems and stuff for companies and things like that over the years. And mm-hmm. he just couldn't get it dialed into his head that a mastermind isn't about you being the expert.
Oh, yeah.
If you're a mentor, you don't have to be an expert. Mm-hmm. You can show your flaws. It's okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Being a mentor is a lot like a mastermind where you're coming together and bringing the best knowledge and the best suggestions and letting people find that third mind, find that vision that they're looking for, find those mm-hmm. answers that they're looking for. And more often than not, as a mentor, this is true, Jim. Mm-hmm. they know the answer.
Oh, yes.
It's inside. They may not know
Yeah.
exactly how to connect the dots to make them understand that that's their answer.
Mm-hmm.
But 9 times out of 10, it's right there.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because, ladies and gentlemen, masterminds are so powerful. And to explain it in just down-to-earth, simple terms, if you have a 2-cell battery flashlight, you turn the light on, it gets so bright. But if you're able to put on a longer sleeve on the flashlight and put in maybe 3 or 4 more batteries, whatever it holds, and then you turn it on, that light gets a lot brighter. And we never script the show. We have points that we're going to, think about and try to make and that sort of thing, because the energy that will be flowing through this mini mastermind that Emerson and I are having right now, it will bring thoughts to our minds, because there's someone out there in TV land that needs to hear it. Yeah. And when you're working with kids, you're going to be amazed if you have 5 or 6 kids and you're doing some of the things that Emerson has shared with you. You're going to be amazed how these kids here will give very intelligent suggestions and answers, and will also give you a good reading of how you can connect a stronger bond with them. That's critical.
My mother used to say that a good teacher learns more from her students.
Oh, yeah.
Than they learn from her.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of truth to that. There really is a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. So many times as most people go through their lives, there's this almost a competition to be the one with the smartest ideas, the best ideas, whatever. And a lot of people are very sensitive to that.
Mm-hmm.
In mentorship, just as in mastermind, it's not about being the smartest person in the room.
Right.
In fact, I could argue in some cases it's about not being the smartest person in the room.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of being able to be an accepting, open, appreciating person that helps somebody else navigate and learn to trust their judgment. And when they make a mistake, being able to be there, not just to pick them up, but being able to be there to help them move beyond that mistake and learn from it.
Absolutely. I remember we were talking about mentoring youth on a previous show, and Emerson, I think it was you that made the comment, when you go in there, try to be the best listener in the group. And that really made an impression on me, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'm going to go back to masterminds.
Okay, sure.
And in a show like this, it's just you and me talking, and so it's a little bit different, environment. But in masterminds and in Q&As and in other sessions, I've noticed that there's some people that will just have idea.
Oh, yeah.
And it took me a long time to realize, Jim, that a lot of times those people are the ones who have the most self-doubts and other things. It's like they just got to be the one. They got to be the one. They got to be the one. They have another. So they're not listening. They're just talking. And I learned early on, I can't say learn is the word I'm using, but it's just like I adapted early on in the concept of a mastermind. And that's what mentorship is. It's you with somebody else. And you're in a mastermind type of setup where where listening is as important or more important than telling, if that makes sense.
Yes, it is.
And I learned if I don't have something that connects these dots for the person in a way that they see it and they get it, then it doesn't matter how much I know or what my experience is or how brilliant what I'm sharing with them is or anything else. Helping them to navigate that. And you know, the old biblical thing that the scales to fall off the eyes, that's more important. That's more important because that's a lifetime thing. Sorry. That's a lifetime thing. And that's a learning thing. And that's a discovery thing.
Yeah.
And that's what mentorship's about.
Yeah. I really like what you said there about the, you know, the person always wants to, you know, talk and share what they know and all that. And they're really not participating. And to be a mentor, that young person needs to know that you care and you are participating in helping them get from where they are to where they want to be.
Yes.
And it's a joint venture. It really is.
Yeah, I'll go back to that cruise that I was talking about. There are people, during that cruise, it's not a selling cruise. And so we have different sessions. And so let's say that there's a session of new software or books or things that I found that have helped. And so people line up and they get up and they have a few seconds or minute to tell this book or that book or this software or this program or this approach, this whatever. Or maybe it's something where people stand up and they say, here's the number one issue that I'm dealing with. And then people line up and kind of give them input on that. Well, I've noticed that there are a few people who they get up and you don't have 5 minutes to talk. You got 30 seconds or a minute. And then it's the next person in line, because the idea is how, you know, rapid fire, how much input, how many ideas can we give here? And I noticed there's some people, they get their 30 seconds or a minute, and then they go back around to the back of the line because they got more. And then they go back around to the back of the line, they got more. And they keep doing that.
Boy.
And my attitude has always been, you know, there are a lot of people with a lot of good ideas. If I have something that I really, really, really think is going to be beneficial for this one person and this issue that they're dealing with, and I can give them something for that, that's what I'll get up for. So maybe I only get up for 3 or 4 of these over a 3 or 4 hour period. But you know what, Jim? Over the 15 years or so that I've been that I've gone on this cruise each year, I've had people who've come up to me a year or 2 later and say, "Oh my gosh, I still remember what you said at this boom, 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 boom," and I don't remember it, you know, but simply because the impact for giving made an impact. And it was about listening to what the issue was or the challenge was or what it was that was being discussed, and then giving something that zoned in on that to help them, not tell them, but suggest to them. And the lights went off, scales fell, and it mattered. It made a difference in their life. That's what mentorship does, folks. It makes a difference in their life and helps them to process it and see it in a different way. And when you are really zoned in with somebody that you're mentoring, it changes your life.
Emerson, I got to correct a little technical issue here. I'll be right back. And that, as soon as I do it, probably about 30 seconds. Okay. So just go ahead.
Okay, go for it. Yeah, I think we lost Jim there for a minute. So there's some kind of a technical issue, which the other day when I was trying to get on, there was a technical issue. But we've talked about motivation, and really we've talked about advice on this chart. Success and direction. Well, those two kind of go hand in glove. In terms of helping somebody achieve success, they may be little successes. They may be huge successes. In fact, one thing that's not on here is dealing with, I don't want to use the word failure, but dealing with the things that weren't successful. So the learning experiences here and the growth that people are able to get, the mentor is able to help reframe it, I think is the word that I'd like to use there, to reframe it so that they're able to understand the growth that is taking place, not just if it worked, if it didn't work, but the growth that they have that is happening in their life as a result of you mentoring and guiding and sowing into their life. So those two things go hand in glove. And beyond the success or the lack of success on a particular point, the thing that we're guiding all of this towards is this last point of direction. Because when, and Jim's back with us. Jim, one of the things that you may remember in the marketing class that you took that I was
Right.
training, one of the things I shared is when you are crystal clear on your strategy, and that's what direction would be here, folks, on your strategy for your business. When you're crystal clear on the strategy, all the other decisions that you have to make start becoming easy.
Oh, yeah.
And in this graphic that we have, that direction, as you're mentoring somebody, helping them to get clarity on their direction, makes all of the other things that they have to decide and do and act all of a sudden become crystal clear.
That is so true. And I'm glad you brought that out because, yeah, that was one of the things you really stressed in that class. And it was just, it just really cleaned out the cobwebs in between the ears. Because a lot of times the cobwebs in our mind, it collects all this clutter up there that we don't need. And
that's the truth.
Oh, yeah. We got about 2 minutes left, Emerson. Did we get everything covered on the chart there or just about or pretty much?
I think we did. Mentoring somebody, there's a great organization, Boys and Girls Clubs.
Oh, yes.
Isn't that the one? And you can have Big Brother. Big Brother and Big Sisters. They're an organization that is completely organized around the idea of you dedicating the time to mentor somebody that needs that person in their life. And I don't have any direct connection with the organization other than people that I've known that are in it, but it is a phenomenal group that is totally focused on dedicating time to being a mentor, sowing into somebody else's life.
Amen. And ladies and gentlemen, I just so glad that you're with us today. And Emerson, so glad that you're here with us. And, it's just we just like to say out there in TV land, if you know someone that's a good mentor and they'd like to share their story with us here on TV, please, all you got to do is just email us here at the TV station, inspiration@e360tv.com. Our staff will get it and we will get in touch with them. And we would love to have people up here sharing their stories about how they made a difference, and also share how that difference improved their life. Because
And
when
we
you
may
give, yeah,
And we may
Yeah.
just include you in the upcoming book that's going to be coming out.
oh, is there an upcoming book coming out?
We may just include them in an upcoming chapter in the upcoming book.
There you go. Yeah, there
Yeah.
is a book coming out. We're not going to share anything there now, but it's
Yep.
coming out. That's
Mom's
for sure.
word.
Yeah, mum's a word. But yes, we would be honored, truly honored, to have, someone. It might be you or someone you know. It could be a teacher who has
Yeah.
went the extra mile, and you'd say, "I want you to get some recognition.
There you go.
I want you to be able to tell your story." And ladies and gentlemen, we're totally out of the time. They're about ready to yank the plug on us. But thank you so very much for being with Emerson and myself today. We sincerely hope that the information we shared with you will bless you and bless the young people in your life. And please get encouraged to reach out to just one kid or one teenager and try and make a difference in their life, because 100% of the time, you are going to improve your life and you're going to be blessed too. Emerson, any final thoughts before we sign off?
It may not seem like spending that time and dedicating it to somebody is bringing you any kind of return on the investment.
Mm-hmm.
But the return on investment that you get in somebody else's life is endless.
It certainly is.
And it makes a difference.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back tomorrow. We're going to be talking about pets we love, and we hope you join us. And most importantly, thank you for tuning in. Be sure and like and share our show with others. And we hope and pray that you and your loved ones are full of energy, full of health, happiness,